In this episode, we're gonna be talking about basic modeling tools inside Blender. Let's check them out. All right, guys, welcome back to this week's episode, and we're gonna be continuing the preview of my recently, Blender Basics mini course that I recently released. And in today's episode, we're gonna be talking about some of the very basic modeling tools you're gonna find inside Blender. So let's check them out. Okay, so let's talk about modeling here. We're gonna do very basic stuff, but I want to give you a rundown of some of the basics here. So let's get rid of my model here and let's just start from scratch here. Now, in Blender, a shortcut that you really want to memorize and just get used to it is Shift A. And Shift A is gonna bring you this menu called the Add menu, and this is where you're gonna add pretty much everything, from your matches to your lights, cameras, empties, and anything like that. And I want to concentrate on matches today, a little bit of lights, and of course the cameras here. And also we'll take a look at empties here, but most is going to be matches here. You're going to see that I'm going to open up this extra menu, and then you can see planes, cubes, circles, spheres, and all this other stuff. Probably in your Blender, you're gonna see stuff, or you won't see stuff that you see here, and that is because if I go to the preferences, there's an add-on default by Blender that is called extra objects, right? And I have that checked, which is enable. And what that does is it's just gonna gives me like extra stuff to create, like the gears and pipe joints and all this other stuff. But it doesn't matter. We're not going to take a look at the extra stuff. Mostly we're going to concentrate on just the very basic stuff, right? So what I want to do is Shift A, Mesh, and then we're going to create a cube, right? Here's my cube, right? And as we saw in the previous episode, if I do my tab button, I get my pie menu, and I can go to edit mode. And edit mode is where you want to pretty much edit your mesh. So what happens in edit mode, it's going to be related to whatever object you have selected, right? So let's say I want to create a cylinder here. Let's create a monkey head, right? So if I select my cube here and I go to edit mode, you're gonna see that I can't select my other objects because I'm inside my edit mode here for my object. And if I select two of these, so I have these two selected, and I go to edit mode, then now I can select both of them here, but I cannot select this one. So I'm in edit mode of these two. So sometimes it might happen that you just don't go out of edit mode, you don't go to object mode, and you're trying to select other stuff and you won't be able to, and you just don't. So just make sure that you are in object mode if you want to select other objects. If you don't want to go to the pie menu, you can see what mode you're in by looking in here, right? So you're gonna go to object mode, you go to object mode here, and then you're back into it, and now you can start selecting other stuff. So this was something that I had to, get used to a little bit if I wanted to edit an object. Go to object mode, and then I'll do my my edit here. Go out of edit mode into object mode, and then go to my next object, and so on. So if you're completely new to 3D, one thing to keep in mind is that meshes are pretty much constructed by, we're gonna have three major things, and one of the things is gonna be vertices, which is the points that you see like here, here, here. All these points I call vertices, right? We have edges, which is the line in between two vertices. So we have one vertex here, one vertex here. This line in the middle or in between them is called an edge. And we have polygons, which is pretty much 4 vertices create a polygon, which is this right here. So that's one polygon, right? And in edit mode, I can go back and forth from editing vertices, edges, and polygons by using my 1, 2, 3 numbers here in my keyboard. So if I press 1, I'm in vertices and select my vertices. And I'll select polygons or edges, right? I can select my vertices. Press 2, that's my edges. And you can see that I can select the edges here. If I press 3, I can select polygons. Okay, so one or the other. If you don't want to use the keyboard, you can go up here, and first one here is my vertices. You're gonna see here that I have vertices, edges, polygons. Okay, so or 1, 2, 3. So so that's an easy. That's pretty simple. If you take a look at the cylinder here, we have more vertices to construct the circular shape here. And if you go to the monkey here, you're gonna see that we have even more vertices. We have multiple polygons, and of course multiple edges here. Now, I want to show you some of the very basic tools that we can use to model very basic stuff. So as the previous episode, S for scaling, R for rotating, and G for moving, right? So I'm going to get rid of these two just to keep it very simple. Now, if I want to look completely straight on orthographically into this, I can use my gizmo here, so you can see that as I rotate these moves. So if I want to look at it from the left to the right here, completely orthographic, I can press or click that circle, and then it will take me to the front here. I can also use my Alt button as I'm rotating my camera to snap into some of these orthographics views. So I'm pressing my Alt just to sort of snap. Either way is fine, however you would like to, but just to give you an idea. So let's go to edit mode, tab, edit mode here. And the first one that I want to show you is Control R. And Control R pretty much is gonna not slice, but add a loop into my mesh here. So I could add it this way, I could add it this way. If I have, for example, let's do a cylinder here. Go to edit mode. By Control R here, you're gonna see that it adds here. If I wanted to add more than one, I can scroll my middle mouse click and I'm adding more, right? Up and down. And once I set up however many I want to, so I just want to add it, I'm just gonna click here, and you're gonna see that I can actually move the location of it. If I want it dead in the center, I can right click and it will just put it in the middle there, right? Or I can set up where I want it. So let's say I want one here, and do Control R again here. One thing I could do is Control R. I'm gonna scroll up to have 2. Then I'm gonna click on it. And then I can place this, but I'm actually gonna place it right in the middle. So I'm gonna right click just to press it right in the middle. And then I'm gonna scale these, this one up and this one down. So I'm gonna press S for scaling and then Z axis for up and down. I'll place this here like this. Right? So now let's go into a front camera here. Let's actually get rid of this cube. But as you can see, I cannot select it. That's because I'm in edit mode. So I'm gonna get out into object mode, select my cube, delete it. I actually want these to be in my world origin. So as the first episode we take a look at, Shift S, selection to cursor because my cursor is in the world origin. That brings it right there. Select the cylinder, go to edit mode, and now I'm gonna go to my front view here, and I want to create some sort of column here, and I want to create a base and a crown up here. So I'm gonna go into my polygons. So I'm gonna press 3. I can select polygons and I click and drag. I'm gonna press Shift to click and drag here. And now I'm gonna press or go to extrude, and I click and hold along normals. And so now if I click and drag here, you're gonna see that I can extrude these. Now rotate, oh, now you see that it only did half of it. And that is because we didn't have the X-ray vision selected. So let's go back, Control Z. Let's go again into front camera. Alt Z for the shortcut for X-ray. If not, you just click this. And now you're gonna see that you can see the polygons through the mesh here. I select those, click those, and let's do the extrusion again. Extrude at all normals. Click and drag. I'm just gonna make this a little bigger. Go back to object mode. And let's get rid of the X-ray, Alt Z. So let's edit this a little bit. And what we're gonna do is actually create some sort of design here. So let's select it again, edit mode. And I want to select this ring of edges here. So depending on what you're doing, you want to select either edges or vertices or polygons. In this case, I want to select these sort of like loop going around. And an easy way to do that is if I press 2 to go to the edge mode, I'm gonna click here. So instead of just clicking, shift clicking all these, I'm actually just gonna double click one of these, and it's gonna select my loop. Now, if I press G for moving, I can move the whole thing by itself, right? And what I want to do is, right now I'm in extrusion. I'm just gonna go to select box here. I'm gonna move this up a little bit. So press G for move, Z axis because I want to move it up, and I just want to have something like that. I'm gonna do the same thing for this one. So double click, D for move, Z. Okay. Now the other tool for that's very basic in modeling is insetting. And let's actually select this polygon that we have up here. So I'm gonna press 3 for polygons, like here. And if I press I, which is the shortcut, it's gonna inset this. And I just wanna do a little bit here. So, okay. So now it's just inset it. I can extrude this down into it. If I press E for extrusion, to move my cursor down, I just want to extrude it just a little bit here. And I'm going to do the same thing again. So inset it, I, a little bit, and then extrusion again. Back to object mode. You're going to see that you see these lines here. That's because we don't have enough mesh, but one way we can sort of fix that is that if we select the object, right click on it, shade smooth, and then it gives us this weird sort of like smooth version. But we're gonna fix this with fixing the normals. And the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna go to my object data properties here, normals, auto smooth. And there we go. Now the edges that are meant to be hard edges are hard, and then the rest are now it looks better. Right. So now let's tweak these a little bit. So I want to scale it up just a little bit in the Z axis, just to make it a little bit longer. I want to set it up in the X axis here. So I'm just gonna go up. Okay. So now I want to, let's go to edit mode here. And let's actually select this loop again. Double click, I want to move these up like so. And I want to scale this down quite a lot here. So what I'm going to do now is some bevel. And the shortcut for bevel is Control B, or you can go here to bevel. But I usually use Control B. So Control B. And now if I drag my mouse, it's going to bevel that. Now the thing is, I'm still in bevel mode here, but if I use my middle button scroll, I can add subdivisions to this. So I'm scrolling up, make it smoother. So depending on how smooth I want, I'll scroll that up. Whenever I'm good, I'll just I'll just click, and then now it has a nice curve to it. I actually want to make these base a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna go to my front camera, X-ray, 1 for vertices, and I'm gonna select all these. I'm gonna press S for scaling and just scale it up. Move it down a little bit. And back to object mode. All right. So now I actually want to get rid of this little lip here. And there's a different ways that I can do it, but one tool that I want to show you is, I'm going to move this up just a little bit, is the bisect tool. And I'm just going to show you this very quick, but this is a great tool to cut things. Let's say I just want to cut a line through here. I want to make sure that I select everything I want to cut. I'm pressing A to select everything. And then once I have the tool selected, I'm going to go to my tool settings here. I'm going to put fill and clear outer. What that does is when I click and drag here, it's cutting through that straight line depending on the angle that I do, right? So I want to do this angle here. And now, as you can see on the bottom, it filled the hole that I made, right? And so I want to make sure that I have filling here so this doesn't become hollow. To object mode. Now we have a clean. Now, what I actually want to do here is I want to create another object. Let's move this down to the x-axis and Shift A, mesh, UV sphere. I'm going to move this in the z-axis up, so G and Z. I'm going to place this right in the middle here, and let's scale it up just a little bit, like so. Like so. Move it down. We're going to do the same smooth thing that we did for this, so I'm going to click the object, right click, chase smooth. Add a smooth here. You don't need that for a sphere, but just in case. Now you're going to see we have a little pun here. And we can probably play with this a little bit more, but let's bring this down here. Let's actually do some beveling here. So I want to select the cylinder, go to edit mode. I want to select this ring of edges. So 2 for edges, double click. And now if I press Control B, I want to move this out, but I don't want to have too many subdivisions. So I'm going to scroll down with my middle mouse button. I have just a few. So the same thing for this one. Better. Let's do the same thing for this. Make this a little bit bigger. And let's add another little base here. So select the cylinder, edit mode, Control R for adding a loop. I'm gonna click and I'm gonna place it right here. I'm gonna press 3 for polygons. Make sure my X-ray it's on. Select all these. I'm gonna press E for extrusion, and as soon as I do that, I'm gonna press S for scaling because I want to make it bigger. Move that down a little bit. 1 for vertices, and I'm gonna select these ones, bring them down. Select both of them. Let's move this up just a little bit. Out of X-ray mode. Now we have a little base here. We're also going to bevel just a little bit. Click, Control B, and drag just to add a little bit of bevel there, as well as here. We can make this probably a little bit smoother, just to have some difference in shapes here. And so now we have created a pawn. We can probably also do, let's actually make this a little bit taller. So as for scaling, and I want to scale it on the Z axis just to make it taller, like so. Let's move that up. Let's select the sphere. Let's move that up. And there we go. So we have a very simple pawn here that we can that we use to learn some of the tools for the modeling. And you're gonna notice that once I go to edit mode, so tap edit mode, you're gonna see that this panel sort of like expands. So these are a lot of tools that you get inside edit mode that you can play with. So in setting, we're ready to get a look at that. Extrusion, bevels, loop cut, and the bisect tool. So yeah, so these are, and again, all these you can also do for any of these meshes. Doesn't matter if it's a cylinder or a cube or a sphere. You can apply that to any of those. So for example, if I want to move this up a little bit, I want to let's go to edit mode, X-ray, and let's choose all these. And I press E for extrusion, and then Z because I want to move them down. That. Right? So doesn't matter what you have. Most of these stuff is usable for all that. Okay. Okay, so now the problem that we have is that we have two separate objects, right? We have the sphere and we have the cylinder that we play with here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to merge these two, right? So one thing that I want to do is sort of like, I want to get rid of or hide this so I can work on my cylinder by itself. And the way you hide things, if you press H, so if I select the object and press H, it hides it. So you can see here that the eye is shut. That means it's hidden. If I want to unhide it without going here, I can press Alt H and then it would unhide everything. So I just want to hide that. And I actually want to delete all this inside stuff that I have here. So I'm gonna go to edit mode. I'm gonna select all these. Now I could do this, right, which is what I'm trying to do here. But another way you can select things is if you controlling or click and hold here, you have other options of how you can select. You can do circle, which pretty much you have a circle and then it will select everything that it's within that circle. What I want to use lasso tool, and pretty much that's pretty much what it is, right? So I'm just gonna lasso the selection, and it's gonna select everything there. Now press X, bases. I just delete everything here. So now the end of my model is pretty much these this loop here, right? Let's bring back the sphere, Alt H. And if we select both of them and we go to edit mode, you're gonna see that these edges match in terms of how many they are. And that's because when we created it, we kept the same subdivisions. So if I were to create a cylinder now, you're gonna see this little window here. And if I open that up, you're gonna see that the vertices is 32, right? If I do a UV sphere, you're gonna see that the segments is 32 as well. That's the default. So if I go to edit mode, you're gonna see that it's the same amount. So we kept that pretty much the same, so we could actually match it to each other and sort of like merge them together. And the way we're gonna do that is we gotta get rid first of these excess part of it. We're gonna go to edit mode. Let's go to X-ray, Alt Z, and let's move everything up just a little bit. Matches. Let's go to polygons, pressing 3. Select everything that is that area. Right? So X for delete, faces, back to object mode. Now we pretty much have that cut right there. So now what I have to do is sort of merge. If you're gonna see here, merge these vertices together, right? And the way I can do that, I can do it in a couple of different ways, but the way I want to do it is let's actually bring them closer together. So I'm gonna scale this sphere up. Just they're almost touching. And right now there are two separate objects, right? There's one object, two objects. I wanted to actually merge them as one object before I do the merging of the vertices. And because if I try to do, for example, if I have these two, I go to edit mode. I'll need to sort of like select these two and merge vertices as center. And it's not gonna work because it's not the same object, right? So I need to make them a same object first. And the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna select them both and press Ctrl J. And that pretty much merged them as one object, as you can see here, right? But see, if I select it, it's just one object. But if you go inside here, go to edit mode, you're gonna see that the vertices are not merged. So one way I could do it is if I selected both of them, box, if I select both of them, I right click, merge vertices at center, and I just merge them right there. But I'll have to do each one, and that's something that I don't want to do. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press A for all my vertices, select the whole, right click, merge vertices by distance. And this little window is gonna come up here. And I'm gonna increase these till these two vertices are pretty much merged. I just have to be careful, then others will get merged. And you see like here. So if that happens, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select, let's go back to, I'm gonna select the edge loop. I wanna bring it closer to the other vertices. So got a little bit smaller. Oh, that's better. Now just a little bit. Another almost on top of each other. Now let's do the same thing. So let's go to vertices, select them all. Another thing you could do, you don't have to select them all. You can just select those, right? Actually lose lasso tool here. It's just a little bit easier with the lasso tool. Now right click, merge vertices by distance. And you're gonna see already that it removed 14 vertices. That's probably because it already merged a few. We're gonna increase this number just a little bit. The reason it's not selecting these is because, or it's not merging these is because they're not selected. We gotta reselect these. But we got them selected. You can see this edge is black and this one is orange. That's because one of those vertices is not selected. Just gotta make sure. And I think, all right, we got all of them. All right, great. Same thing, right click, vertices by distance. You remove 18. It already removed 14 before, so 14 plus 18, that's 32. 32 is the segments that we had, so they all should be merged right now. We can confirm that by just clicking one of these, trying to move it, and there's only one right there. Perfect. So now let's go out. And now we probably have one object here that is already merged and it's all one piece. And then now we can just continue modeling the other set of pieces here and continue with these very basic modeling parts. All right, guys, so that was it for today's episode. I really hope that you guys have an idea of some of the tools, basic tools for modeling that you can find inside Blender. But if you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section below so I can actually address them. If not, I'll see you guys in the next one.